Hello and thanks for joining us. Welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News. Today, 17th August 2026, equivalent to 4th Rabiul Awal, 1448 after Hijrah. I am Rahama Ibrahim Dusara with the headlines. President Tinubu congratulates Adeleke over re-election victory as Osun governor. Federal government urges investors to reclaim Plateau's abandoned pits to curb illegal mining. Troops kill terrorists, rescue 40 kidnapped victims in nationwide operation. And on international scene, violence erupts ahead of opposition rally in Kenya. And on sports updates, Cameroon trashed Malawi to claim first Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. This and more will be coming to you in the bulletin. Stand by. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated Governor Ademola Adeleke on his re-election as the governor of Osun State on Saturday, August 15, 2026, saying his victory confirms the confidence of the people of the Osun State have in him. Tinubu noted that the re-election of Governor Adeleke is a fitting assurance that democracy will continue to flourish in the country under the All Progressives Congress APC administration. Special Assistant to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, who disclosed this in a statement in Abuja, urged the governor to unite the people of Osun State and rally them for growth, stability, and social and economic progress, regardless of the political choices they made in the election. Tinubu also said the outcome of the election reflects the will of the people and is a fitting assurance that democracy will continue to flourish in our land. The Nigeria leader therefore applauded the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the security agencies for conducting a peaceful and transparent election that produced a clear winner. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says the Osun State governorship election is a milestone that must shape the Commission's planning for the 2027 general election. INEC Chairman Josh Amopitan made the assertion while formally closing the Osun Decides 2026 Situation Room following the conclusion of the election and declaration of results in the early hours of the day. He commended INEC staff at the national, state, and local government levels, as well as field personnel and technical teams for their dedication, sacrifice, and professionalism throughout the process. Amopitan noted that many staff worked long hours, sacrificed time with their families, and operated under demanding conditions to ensure the election was conducted successfully and the integrity of the process was protected. The chairman urged staff to maintain a higher level of vigilance, transparency, and professionalism and commitment, and to remain strictly neutral in carrying out their duties. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), and Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) to probe alleged vote buying, financial inducement, illegal election financing, voter intimidation, violence, misuse of public resources, and other electoral offences in connection with the 2026 Osun State governorship election. Serap's Deputy Director, Kola Wole Oluwadare, in a petition comes against the backdrop of reports of alleged vote buying and other irregularities during the poll. The petition also urged the agencies to invite and facilitate independent, regional, and international assessments through the African Union (AU), ECOWAS, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and relevant UN human rights mechanism as complementary scrutiny to domestic accountability processes. The call came shortly after the INEC declared Governor Ademola Adeleke of the Accord Party the winner of Saturday's governorship election, returning him for another term in office. The federal government has cautioned illegal miners against operating without permits following the collapse of an unlicensed tin mine in Kassa, Barkinladi local government area of Plateau State, which claimed 7 lives. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, who made the call in a statement, also urged private sector's investments to repurpose thousands of abandoned mining pits across the state. He noted that the tragedy was preventable and urged artisanal miners to form cooperatives and obtain formal permits to gain access to field training and safer working conditions. The minister, while commiserating with the government and people of Plateau State, said the challenge before the state and the federal government was to transform abandoned mining pits into productive economic assets. Alake also hinted that his ministry had rehabilitated 59 abandoned sites and was seeking private sector partnerships to convert the remaining pits into fishery, energy and tourism hubs. The presidency has reaffirmed its commitment to prioritizing security, harnessing the Nigerian diaspora as a critical asset for national development, and deepening strategic partnerships anchored on mutual respect and trust. The Special Assistant, Media and Strategic Communications to the Minister of the State for Foreign Affairs, Richard Elesho, in a statement quoted the Minister Shola Enikanolaye during an address at the dinner night of the Nigerian Diaspora Economic Conference in Toronto, Canada. Enikanolaye emphasized that security remained a major challenge, but affirmed that the current administration was doing everything humanly possible to ensure that we contain those that have been with us in a multifaceted manner for the past 10 or so years. He added that the strategic engagement was aimed at delivering core, concrete, positive outcomes for Nigerians in terms of security, in terms of prosperity, in terms of defense, and the welfare of the Nigerian people. This news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television, and still to come in the news. Troops kill terrorists, rescue 40 kidnapped victims in nationwide operation. On the international scene, violence erupts ahead of opposition rally in Kenya. And on sports updates, Cameroon trashed Malawi to claim first Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. This and more will be coming to you after this break. Stay tuned.
Good day, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ezisho Damfulani. I'm the Managing Director of the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, NIC. It is my pleasure to introduce NIC, Nigeria's foremost agricultural insurance institution, established to provide insurance protection and risk management solutions for farmers, agribusinesses, and agricultural investments across the country. At NIC, our mission is to safeguard farmers against losses arising from natural disasters, adverse weather conditions, pests, diseases, and other unforeseen risks that threaten agricultural productivity. By providing reliable insurance coverage, we help farmers recover from losses, improve access to finance, and contribute to national and food security and economic growth. In line with renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, we are committed to strengthening NIC's capacity by expanding insurance coverage, embracing technology and innovation, and ensuring that more farmers and agricultural stakeholders across Nigeria benefit from our services. Agriculture remains the backbone of our economy, and insurance is the critical tool for protecting investments, enhancing productivity, and promoting sustainable growth in the sector. Through strategic partnership, improved service delivery, and digital transformation, NIC will continue to support farmers and contribute to Nigerian food security and economic development. Together, we can build a more resilient agricultural sector and secure the future of farming in Nigeria. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back, and now the news continues. The Defense Headquarters says troops have killed scores of terrorists and rescued 40 kidnapped victims in coordinated operations across the country. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, in a statement, said the feats were achieved through sustained aggressive offensive and counter-terrorism operations across the various theaters. He added that operations also led to the arrest of terrorist collaborators and logistics suppliers, as well as the recovery of weapons, ammunition, large quantities of stolen crude oil, and illegally refined petroleum products. The defense spokesperson stated that the operations were aimed at degrading terrorist networks, disrupting their logistics chains, and denying criminal elements freedom of actions. Onoja added that troops of Operation Hadinkai in the northeast continued to mount pressure on terrorists in Borno and Adamawa states, killing fighters, arresting suspected collaborators, and rescuing 5 female abductees who escaped from a terrorist enclave in the Mandara Mountains. He also said in the northwest, troops of Operation Fansanyama arrested terrorist logistics with over 5 million naira and 2 foreign nationals in Zamfara. A former Kaduna State Governor, Nasser El-Rufai, has filed a fresh 10 billion naira fundamental rights suits against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) over alleged denial of access to his wife and son while in custody. In the suit filed at Abuja High Court, the former governor alleged that the ICPC prevented his wife, Aishatu Asabe, and son, Abba El-Rufai, from visiting him. El-Rufai, through his lawyer, Ubong Akpan, also joined the ICPC chairman and the Attorney General of the Federation as the second and third defendants, respectively. The former governor is seeking 9 reliefs, including declarations that his fundamental rights guaranteed under Part IV of the 1999 Constitution remain enforceable despite his detention. He alleged that the repeated refusal to allow his family members access to him, particularly to provide food, medication, and other necessities without lawful justification or a court order, violated his rights. Nigeria and other African countries are pushing for the refurbishment of the way food security, agricultural businesses, and research sought to move away from slow emergency funding and external support towards faster, more sustainable, and locally anchored financing. The emerging financing architecture spans 3 fronts: a proposed BRICS financing window for the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Regional Food Security Reserve, expanded lending by the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, EBID, to small and medium-sized enterprises, and a continental campaign for African governments to provide more predictable domestic funding for agricultural research, development, and innovation. The push comes as Africa faces worsening food insecurity and a large financing gap. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, the UN Economic Commission for Africa, ECA, the World Food Programme, WFP, and the Africa Union Commission, AUC, released on April 30th in a joint report lamented that Africa remained off track to achieve sustainable development goals to unending hunger. And on international scene, violence erupted in western Kenya on Sunday with 2 AFP reporters attacked ahead of an opposition rally whose leaders had cautioned that crowds could be targeted by armed thugs. Opposition politicians have warned of an increasingly hostile environment, and observers have expressed worries about the use of armed thugs known in Kenya as goons to disrupt political gatherings. The opposition Linda Mwananchi movement, a group seeking to galvanize dissatisfaction over Ruto's tenure, plans to hold a rally with potential presidential candidate Edwin Sifuna in Homa Bay. AFP video journalist Fred Oko and photographer Brian Ongro said they were assaulted by a group of men as they walked to the rally venue. Kenya is due to hold national polls in just under a year, with President William Ruto seeking a second term. And on sports update, Cameroon trashed first-time Malawi 4-0 to claim their first ever Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON title in a historic final in Rabat on Sunday. Mary Inga Manga opened the scoring in the 20th minute, Inge to give the indomitable Lioness the lead, while Naomi Echo doubled Cameroon's advantage before setting up Inga Manga for her second goal in first half stoppage time. Malawi, competing at the tournament for the first time, struggled to find a way through Cameroon's defense. The coaches had relied heavily on Sisters Tabita and Timua Chawinga throughout their impressive run to the final, but the pair were kept largely quiet. In the same vein, Premier League champions Arsenal defeated FA Cup holders Manchester City 3-0 to win the 2026 Community Shield at Cardiff's Principality Stadium on Sunday. And that's all we have for today's news. But before we go, let's take a recap of the major headlines. President Tinubu congratulates Adeleke over re-election victory as Osun governor. Federal government urges investors to reclaim Plateau's abandoned pits to curb illegal mining. Troops kill terrorists, rescue 40 kidnapped victims in nationwide operation. And on international scene, violence erupts ahead of opposition rally in Kenya. And on sports updates, Cameroon trashed Malawi to claim first Women's Africa Cup of Nations title. And that was a recap for the major headlines on Standard Voice Television Global News. On behalf of the news editor, Ilya Adamu Auta, and the production team, I still remain Rahama Ibrahim Dosara saying bye for now and keep watching Standard Voice Television.